February 6, 2025. This is the S&P 500 E-futures mini on the 2000 tick chart using NinjaTrader 8. This is what the chart looked like today, and this is how I drew it up. I didn't take a trade today. This was a very slow, low volume, kind of a meandering day. And as it was unfolding, it was frustrating to see these kind of legs that look very clean and looked like you could probably enter them, but in real time, they actually didn't set up very nicely. And there were a couple of times, and I really only identified two of them, these two blue dots, where the market, for whatever reason, kind of reversed or flashed really quickly. So if you took a trade there, it would have stopped you out, but it was just like there's no rhyme or reason. Like there's one blue dot here, another here, but there were other times throughout the day where it would just kind of, for whatever reason, have a really big knee-jerk reaction, flash one way or the other. It made trading kind of difficult. Total range of the day was, I would say most of the time, it stayed within about 20 points. Because even if you take the highs, 61.08, all the way to, well, taking to lows isn't really fair. If you take it more to about this low, it's about a 22-point trading range until about the last 90 minutes. It had this flush down, kind of bounced, and then rallied back up. But it still didn't offer up that many trading opportunities. And it made the market kind of like a really slow grind that if you think you're going to take something, you're extra cautious today because, as I said, it was almost like it was bipolar. It reversed or do something crazy. So I'm going to go into the trades right now. The only economic data that came out that might have moved the market was right around here at 5:30. I had this little flush down. This is the unemployment claims, but other than that, there was nothing else that came up. As I said before, had I known today was going to be kind of like this, it's kind of like a good day to just take off and not do much because you didn't really miss out. And the trades that you did take, since it was so low volume, it took a while for the trade to unfold and play out. So you had to sit in a trade for maybe like 10 minutes or something. And that just not really doesn't make you really feel safe, especially with those knee-jerk reactions that I mentioned. So the pre-market, kind of a carryover from yesterday, it was pushing up. Pre-market is spiked up, flushed down, and when I see this, I'm thinking immediately, okay, this looks like it's going to be a range day. I drew the pre-market highs, pre-market lows here, pre-market high roughly here. It was actually higher, but then I brought it down later. There's an orange up channel, break, tested the high, makes a second attempt up, flushes down in the screen down channel. You don't really get a second entry. You have a first entry short, first entry long here, first entry short. Technically, you have a second entry short here, but it just feels very flat. This is a lower risk candle. There's only 8 ticks, but it doesn't feel like a very clean second entry for me to feel like it's worth taking. But it is there. It closed above the EMA. Had it only closed below the EMA or at least engulfed this way with a strong close, then I think it would have been a trade to consider. When I see this, I'm just thinking, sit on my hands, wait for a lower high. And you don't really get a lower high till maybe about here, but by then it's just, there's no real setup there. Then prices continue moving. It creates what I think is a possible trade, but at the time I didn't really feel that strongly about it because here I was playing with this as a possible pre-market high, and also where this blue line was also pre-market high. So what it has is here is you have a new low, say first entry short, pullback, second entry short. Good signal bar to go short on, except it's a doji. I don't know if this is going to be respected as the top of the range. Pushes down and it flushes up and comes back down. I'm looking for a lower high, but this isn't confirmed. And then finally have a confirmed lower high after this candle closes. But for whatever reason, I just didn't really didn't really trust it. But you could also see that it is a potential triple test. 1, 2, 3. And it's looking like it's moving back into the pre-market range. So this is definitely a possible trade, but I just wanted a better signal bar to set me up. Then when I see this one open and close, I would have felt more confident. And I would have dropped in my trade entry after this bar closed right at the lows here. But as you see, if this was even a good signal bar, if I put it right here, I wouldn't have gotten the fill. Even if it went 1 tick below, it's debatable whether I would have gotten the fill on this candle if I try to enter here. So it would have been more of an aggressive trade, but it is possible. It's a possible trade. Comes up, you have a new high. So first entry long, pullback. Second entry long, then you have a second entry long failure. So here I was thinking maybe it's a second entry long failure, but then after it's confirmed here, it's too late to enter the trade. And I can't really call it a possible trade because in real time, I'm not really thinking of shorting just yet. I'm looking for a good reason to. The signal bar unfortunately doesn't give me enough reason. Close above the EMA. It is a good bearish signal bar, but it's still above the EMA. I just had to wait. This yellow down channel doesn't exist yet. Starts flushing down. At this point, I do draw this yellow down channel, and I'm thinking, okay, well, I'm probably moving into this pre-market range. Look for a good reason to go short. You have a second entry short here, but it's not a good enough reason, and it starts consolidating. So I don't see any good trades here or good setups. Price to start moving up in this orange up channel. So keep in mind this red channel doesn't exist yet. So I have a new low. I kind of reset the count here. First entry short, pull back, second entry short. Technically, if it's a second entry short, I can't really call this a lower high because it just doesn't form quite nicely. And even if you did call it a lower high, it's kind of made a double top. So it's not quite lower than the previous high. And it just goes into this noisy, choppy area, which, I don't want to get involved with. Prices flush down. This is one of those quick knee-jerk reactions because you can see this is in a matter of about 1 minute. You see it forms these 3 red candles. So it's a really quick flash move. I don't know why this happened. You only have a first entry short here, pushes up. You have a first entry short, pull back, second entry short. Here, unfortunately, I was looking for a potential bounce off some kind of, I was hoping it'd kind of get up to here, at least make this double top before it reversed, but it creates this inside bar. So I'm not thinking if you went short yet. Then in the next minute, this is all in 1 minute. Look at here, it's like 7:39 and 7:37 seconds. Then this is pretty much like 2 seconds later, 2,000 trades went through. And then this is still all within this is just 1 minute of trading. It just flash crash all the way down. I put a blue dot just to point it out to myself. I couldn't find any good justifiable news event. Maybe Trump said something, maybe something came out with some of his people that came out. I'm not sure. It just kind of flash crashed and I was just like, wow. I kind of looked back and try to see if there was a way to enter this in any way, but no real clear way because this is the inside bar. Flushes down, bounces, the first entry short, and then you don't get another second entry short. It's a failed breakout here of this pre-market range. So I'm just sitting watching. I do have this red channel drawn at this point. It's evolved a little bit because I actually cut through a little bit tighter. Let's see. I actually had something a little tighter right here, and it looked like it fit a little bit better here. So that's what I had initially. Then later, when I had this violation here, I kind of changed it to something a little bit higher here. But we'll just go ahead and leave it here. It didn't end up mattering all that much because I didn't find a good trade off of it. Pushes up in this orange up channel. So I'm looking to the left and I'm just looking like, wow, this is not a very strong sell-off. It is a sell-off because you're making lower highs every time and lower lows, but it's like smooth moves, but not very clean entries. So I don't know what to do with this except sit on my hands. So I have a new low. Say first entry short. Technically, I have a second entry short. It's not a very good signal bar to go short on. It reverses. I saw something here. I thought, okay, if this is a localized new low, it's a first entry short, pullback, second entry short potential, failed second entry short, but I'm not taking a trade here because I don't really know where I'm at. Because is this going to be acting as some kind of resistance? I'm not sure. I think for sure there's probably resistance up here. And playing with this red down channel, I'm thinking there might be a resistance up here because I also was messing around with this red down channel thinking, does it actually fit better here or better here? But then it doesn't have these confirmation touches. That's why I eventually just kind of put it back up to here and treat it as a failed breakout. A second failed breakout, it's just a little confusing. Pushes up, it breaks above this red down channel. So I'm thinking this overshoot here might make a corresponding one here. No clean setups, no first entries, because this is all going down. On a smaller time frame, you can justify a first entry and maybe a second entry, but I only see a first entry here. Pushes up back above the EMA. You're looking for a new low, first entry short, and that's all you get. Makes a double bottom. Technically, you have a first entry long pullback, a potential second entry long, but this isn't a good signal bar. There's no real justification to take a long here. Bounces around. It does create a triple test here. So this triple test is kind of like another almost trade. So you have a new high localized, first entry long, pullback, second entry long. Technically, you have a third entry long. Unfortunately, it didn't make a higher low because then you could say it's a first entry, second entry with a higher low confirmation, but it does make a triple test. But that's just doesn't feel quite safe on a day like today. And it did make a nice clean triple test here, but here, I'm not going to think of going long. When I see this, I'm thinking, wow, there was potential to go long, but now I'm concerned that it could be forming its little sub trading range here because it looked like it tried 3 times to break through. Had this one at least broken above, maybe there would have been a trade here, or this grouping here was a little bit higher than these two, then I could justify a higher low, but it all didn't shake out, so I just had to treat it as almost trade and sit on my hands. Pushes up, kind of comes chopping around, so I'm thinking, is there some kind of resistance up here? It kind of breaks up and keeps going. So there's a new high, first entry long, second entry long. This isn't a very good signal bar to go long on. Also new low, first entry short. You don't really get a second entry short till here, but that's just a second entry short, kind of in a middle of noise. Prices move up. It kind of comes up to the pre-market highs, which I drew here, but never really touched. Wishes, it creates a first entry long pullback, second entry long. I'm seeing first entry long, second entry long, doji. I was thinking, is there a failed second entry long here? Maybe this move up is good enough to be considered a touch of this top of this trading range, and it could be flushing down. So I wanted to see actual break below this double bar. So this is where the quick knee-jerk reaction is. It flushes down on this one candle really quick. So I don't know if the timestamp reveals it, but this open here, flushed down, immediately reversed back up, and then came back down here. Then it made this candle. So if you had decided to go first entry long, second entry long failure, I think you would have gotten stopped out. I'm glad I waited to see the break below this guy. If I see a double bottom right here on a signal bar that I want, it kind of makes me a little more hesitant. Why didn't this one at least break below this guy to give me a chance to take a trade? And even then, this setup doesn't really feel very clean. It's just kind of meandering. But to kind of put a blue dot here, just something I noticed because it reversed really quickly and made for something really unfortunate. The prices continue moving down. First entry long, pull back, second entry long. Prices start moving down. It creates a second entry short here. This actually I thought was a possible trade. So you're watching the prices form right now, and it had a decent signal bar. I do draw this yellow down channel, so it looks like it's confirming the fourth touch rejection. It does fit nicely at the bottom. It's a little off right now, but it did fit nicely. So I'm thinking like it's coming from the bottom, 2 legs up, good signal bar, rejection down. Had this candle at least been one tick above and then flushed down, I would have felt a little more comfortable. The risk isn't too bad, but I thought this was a possible trade. Unfortunately, I didn't take it. I just wanted a lower high confirmation because the price action is a little slow right now. And knowing what happened previously just made me a little more cautious. You do get a lower high, but this isn't the right candle, and it pushes down and flushes out. So I'm just kind of watching this push down, bounces, first entry short, pull back, second entry short, not a good signal bar. Technically a third entry short, but I'm not really thinking of reversal just yet. It just gets noisy. It's the first entry long. Technically you have a second entry long, it's an inside bar. I'm not a big fan of that. And you do get a new low, localized new low, first entry short, second entry short. I thought this was a possible trade, definitely more aggressive, looks better after the fact. Same thing with this one, looks better after the fact. But you do have a measure of 2 legs up. So I'm thinking this green down channel is pushed down, made one attempt down, second attempt, but I also made 2 legs up, hit the top of this measured move. There could be at least a small correction back to the EMA. It's a push up. I'm thinking if anything, it might bounce off the EMA, but there's enough for 1 point scalp. Decent signal bar. It's only about 8 ticks, maybe worth a trade. And it's probably seeing a rejection off this pre-market low that I've established. So that was going through my head. I decided just kind of take it easy. I hadn't taken a trade all day. Maybe it was just going to be a no trade day, which kind of ended up being what happened. And I just kind of skipped it. Was looking for a potential lower high below the EMA, but then I was aware that there could be some kind of support trading range here. Fortunately, you don't really get that, it just gets noisy, which is good because it didn't make me feel FOMO or question it. Kind of moves up, and then you don't really get any other trade setups into the close. And even if you did, this is kind of in the last minute, last 10 minutes. I wouldn't try to take any trades at that point. So That's all kind of how I saw the markets today. It was kind of a slow grinding, low volume day, not very action packed. I don't know if it was really, yeah, it was just nothing happening today. So no trade day, I'm kind of okay with that. So hopefully that was helpful.